We keep hearing this call of full disclosure, but it seems it's not as simple as it sounds.
It certainly isn't, Goli, and we've certainly seen that play out in Parliament over the last few months as well. It says it wants an open-door policy when it comes to political party funding. So let's open a few doors of our own, if you'll excuse the pun. The 3 Ps are really important when it comes to party funding. How are donors affecting the policy that is drawn up in government, if at all? Who is profiting from that particular policy? In other words, who is benefiting from it? And the people who are crafting that policy in the first place, Goli, what happens to them when they leave office? Do they get nice, cushy jobs in the private sector? All of these things will come to light once we get some idea of who the donors are when it comes to particular parties. Door number 2, Goli. Now, a quick update on the parliamentary process. Parliament established an ad hoc committee last year. They conducted several public hearings. It all went relatively smoothly. Then it hit a snag at the end of 2017 when MPs were set to debate the bill. They didn't get round to doing that, but we understand that parliamentarians will now report back to the National Assembly at the end of this month. So the process may have hit 1 or 2 potholes, but it is still moving forward. So we might get some movement from Parliament on this particular issue. William mentioned the United States, and thanks to their laws, Goli, we have a fairly good idea of who is splashing the cash. Take a look at some of these stats. 3 of the 5 richest Americans reached the contribution limit in 2012. The contribution limit for any particular election, roughly a million, 1.5 million rand. 30% of major donors worked in the finance sector. They do tend to make a lot of money, so perhaps that isn't surprising. Now, there is a contribution limit for individuals. We know that. There's only so much you as a person can donate, but there is a way around that, Goli, very quickly, the super PACs. And like Superman, they have almost unlimited power. You can donate as much money into these lobby groups as you like. That is a lot of dollars over there, Goli, almost enough perhaps to afford one of your suits. So super PACs have a lot of power, but the snag there, Goli, is that you do have to disclose who is pouring money into those super PACs. So there's nowhere to hide necessarily. Let's take a quick look at the 2016 election. Hillary Clinton raised $1.4 billion. Donald Trump, who actually won that election, 957. And just pay attention to those numbers at the bottom, and that gives you a sense of the role that super PACs are playing. $204 million donated through super PACs to Clinton, and almost $80 million through super PACs to Donald Trump. Just giving you a sense there, Goli, of the influence that super PACs are starting to play in the United States. And also an important point to note here, Goli, is that super PACs can be pretty tricky to monitor. So you can pump money into a company or another individual, several other vehicles before it gets to the super PAC. So there's no way necessarily that you can track exactly where that money is coming from the very beginning. Finally, I want to leave you with this thought. This man is Charles Koch, one of the richest men in America. He was quoted earlier this year as saying he has $400 million, or roughly 4 billion rand, available for political projects and donations to super PACs. That gives you a sense, Goli, of the kind of money that is floating around when it comes to influencing politics and influencing policy, both here in South Africa and around the world.
All right, thank you very much. That's Michael Marillier giving us the bottom line on political party funding.